still remember that terrible noise, the insane screeching, the shrill screams of people in mortal fear, the certain death in front of me.
On Christmas Eve, 1971, 92 people boarded a plane in Lima, Peru. Their destination was Pucallpa, a 1-hour flight. Only one of them would make it. She was 17 years old. Hey guys, Jared here. This is the story of Juliane Koepcke, a teenage girl who survived a fall from a disintegrating aircraft into the heart of the Amazon and walked out 11 days later, alone. But surviving the fall was only the beginning. How did she survive a 10,000-foot drop with no parachute, no training, and no warning? What deadly creatures did she encounter in the Peruvian rainforest?
Everything wants to eat you. Everything wants to consume you.
Wow. 11 days in the rainforest. 11? I don't even think I would survive the fall, y'all. I don't even know how she survived the fall. Surviving the fall itself is crazy. Now to survive 11 days in the rainforest, mind you, like he said, the rainforest, everything is trying to eat you, and it's no food in the rainforest, bro. I mean, it's fruits. It's fruits there, but the fruits is like, majority of the fruits that's there is poisonous. You get what I'm saying? So majority of the fruits that's there is like unedible. You can't even eat it. So how did she survive, bro? 11 days. And on top of the fruits being poisonous, the animals are poisonous. The insects are poisonous. Bro, everything in that motherfucker is poisonous, gang. Everything in that shit got a defense mechanism, bro, to like for it not to be eaten or something. So I don't know how she survived this. She is incredible. She is amazing, bro. Oh my God. Shout out to her. I don't know how she survived this.
And how did she navigate through the thickest jungle in the world? To understand what Juliane was up against, we spoke with Anthony Giardinelli, CEO of Odorongo Expeditions, a seasoned Amazon naturalist who's spent decades studying its ecosystems and its dangers. On Christmas Eve, 1971, Juliane and her mother boarded LANSA Flight 508 from Lima to Pucallpa. Just over 25 minutes into their flight, they hit heavy turbulence. They were flying headfirst into a storm. And then, in a flash of lightning, everything changed.
At that moment, my mother screamed, "This is the end." And exactly what...
And that's why I'm so afraid of airplanes, y'all. I'm not gonna lie, son. When you be on an airplane, you hear that little, I think that's the turbulence, right? Like the thing that sounds like it's hailing outside. I'm so scared of that, bro. I'll be thinking the plane is about to fall apart. Like, I can't stop looking out the window when I'm on a plane. I don't trust planes, bro. Me and plane are not it. We are not friends. I don't know about you. How about y'all? Like, are you good? Are you good with heights? Like, comment below, because I'm not, bro. I'm very, very, very horrified of heights, my boy.
happened after that, I can't say.
What Juliane didn't know in those final seconds was that the aircraft wasn't simply going down. The fuselage had begun to tear itself apart mid-air, scattering passengers and debris across 9 square miles of jungle, while the plane was still airborne.
This machine was like a toy in the clutches of a furious, unleashed nature.
And then, she was no longer inside it.
And then all of a sudden, I was outside.
If you don't know, the plane broke apart in the air. But once that first piece of the plane, once a plane gets an opening, it creates a vacuum. And that vacuum sucks everybody out. The air pressure in that vacuum is so strong, it's like hard. That's why they give you the mask, so you could breathe, because it's sucking the oxygen out the plane. That's how strong the air pressure is. You know what I'm saying? So God damn, I don't know how she survived this one.
Plane. I was suspended in midair, still in my seat. It was not so much that I had left the plane, but rather that the plane had left me.
Juliane began free-falling toward the densest jungle on Earth. Her mother was no longer by her side.
The only sound I heard was the wind howling in my ears, and the forest was spinning below me.
Now, you may be thinking to yourself, how the hell did she survive a fall like this?
Yeah, with no parachute.
It was a bit of physics and a lot of luck.
But I had no time to be afraid, because apparently I lost consciousness.
Experts believe the row of seats she was strapped to spun around like a helicopter, providing some air resistance.
No way, bro. No way. It was not her time, bro. It was not her time. It was not her time to go. God said, no. You shall live. I promise you. Because that is, like, to be that lucky is like, shoo, that's a rarity, bro. It's hard to come across luck like that. She got the luck of a leprechaun. And that don't exist. So, oh my God, bro. The chairs spinned around and created like a propeller. And like slowed her down. Oh my God. That's incredible, man. That's incredible. And lucky as hell.
And the warm updraft from the storm may have slowed her descent. But the trees also played a big part.
The descent through the
Definitely.
canopy and the understory saved her ass. And she probably would have died on impact if she landed with the seat directly out of the end.
I fell through this thicket and then, relatively softly, quote unquote, struck the ground.
Imagine being able to build an app with your name on it, just by thinking about it. Meet Base 44.
The wild...
I'm gonna buy the ad block. It's coming soon. Yeah, because I know that's gonna be pretty annoying, and I'm not trying to sit here and edit videos, spend hours editing videos, you know what I'm saying? So I'm gonna get that ad block for y'all, so, you know, be patient.
The thing is, Juliane wasn't the only survivor of the crash.
Okay.
At least initially. We'll get to what happened to the rest of the passengers later on in the episode.
I suffered a very serious concussion. I couldn't raise myself without fading away again.
Juliane was in pretty bad shape. Her left eye was swollen shut. She had deep cuts on her arms and legs, and a broken clavicle. But that's not all.
As I learned later, I also had a torn ligament in my left knee. I had no idea. Later,
was she
doctors in
walking?
Germany said that wasn't possible. You can't walk with that injury. I
Right.
was completely unaware that I had it. There was no pain at all.
When your body goes into survival mode, adrenaline kicks in. It can help suppress pain and even increase your strength and endurance. And for Juliane, it kept her moving.
Imagine that, y'all. The power of adrenaline. The power of, like, the power that the body possesses. We so unaware of the true potential that it's like unbelievable, bro. To be able to walk with a torn ligament is crazy. It's crazy. And people, I'm pretty sure people have done some amazing things on some injuries before, you heard? So she's probably not the only one. But that adrenaline power is amazing. That shit kick in and you don't feel no pain. You feel you're like a rock. Yo.
But she had no glasses, leaving her nearly blind. One sandal, a thin mini dress, and an Amazon rainforest that was already working to kill her. She could hear planes in the distance. A search team, maybe. But the jungle canopy made it impossible to see anything from above. No signal fires were possible either. The rain had soaked everything. She was on her own.
There's nothing to eat. There's no shelter. Everything wants to eat you. Your hypothermia sets in. For people who don't know anything about the jungle, it's the same damn thing. You might as well be dropped off in the middle of the ocean.
Pretty much.
Because there's nothing for you there. Nothing at all.
Now, you may be thinking, hypothermia? I thought the jungle was hot and humid.
If it's not raining, if you don't have any way to keep your heat in at night, you can go into hypothermia in the forest.
Yeah.
There's so much
because it's moist.
humidity in the air that it's basically like you're swimming. So even if it's not raining, you are in direct contact with a soup, and that soup is going to sap your heat out. So hypothermia is possible in the jungle as well. And it's
Right.
really surprising she didn't get hypothermia.
To stay hydrated, Juliane licked droplets off leaves until she found a muddy stream.
Wait.
Delicious. And now, muddy
Wouldn't that make you poisonous? Make you poisonous. Wouldn't that poison you? Because the plants is, most of them is poisonous. So if she would have drank the water off the wrong plant, could that have poisoned her? So is she lucky to not have drunk from a poison plant leaf? I don't know. I don't know. Comment below, y'all. Let me know. Let me know. What is that? Is that how the poison work? If the water make contact with the leaf, right? Would the water become poisonous now? Would it? It should, right?
streams like this can carry pathogens and diseases, but it was a risk she was willing to take.
If you get sick, you're gonna have a hard time. You're gonna get weak and maybe even succumb to some illness to the point where you can't even walk.
Although her next obstacle was finding food, she had other priorities in mind. Finding her mother.
Getting out of
As she
here.
moved through the jungle, she found some debris from the plane. She came across a bag of candies and a
She loved her mom to death. She loved her mom to death. I would have thought my mom was dead. I'm gonna tell y'all, I'm gonna keep it a buck. I would have thought I would look for her. But after a couple hours of searching, you know, I probably would have gave up, y'all, because I would have most likely felt like she's dead. Because falling from that height, I would be surprised that I'm alive. So she loves her mom, man. Shout out to her. She really went above and beyond for staying 11 days searching for her mom. She could have been tried to find her way out. That would have been my first priority. Find my way out. No, my first priority would have been to find my mom. But like I said, I wouldn't spend too long doing that because I know the situation. You know what I'm saying? So I would have started to like tell myself like it's time to try to find a exit. It's time to try to find my way out. You know? So she spent 11 days looking for her mom. Shout out to her. Big shout out to her.
Christmas cake covered in mud. She tried to eat the cake, but was so disgusted by it,
Ew.
she tossed it away. Yeah,
I wouldn't
don't
eat it
blame
either.
her. I mean, I've never been a fruitcake guy myself. At one point, she came face to face with a bird-eating spider.
Don't tell me she ate
A
it.
spider that eats birds. They looked at each other and went their separate ways. Now, thankfully, this variety wasn't dangerous to humans, but guys, I would have completely lost it.
Right.
The Amazon is full of fruits and animals, but without her glasses, well, distinguishing safe from deadly was next to impossible. One wrong move is a death sentence, and Juliane would come terrifyingly close to that later. As time dragged on, she still couldn't find her mother. She knew she had a tough decision to make. Keep looking or find help. She continued hearing planes overhead and made a game plan. Rather than stay by the wreckage where she was covered by dense foliage, she decided to follow the sounds of trickling water. She remembered the advice her father told her when she was a child.
Here I have learned how important it is to find water if you are lost in the jungle. A small creek leads to a larger one, which eventually takes you to a river where you can find human habitation and help.
She came across a small stream.
First of all, this child is 11 years old. I think he said she was 11, right? Yeah, 11. She's 11, guys. 11. And to think to follow the stream. I'm so glad like she had a good parent, you heard? And a good father too. A good father. Cuz he told her some shit that saved her life. Because she's in the rainforest, y'all. It's water everywhere. So you wouldn't know where to go. You know what I'm saying? You wouldn't know which way to go. But she did something, and she figured that shit out. And it all started from that speech her father told her about water. So shout out to him. Shout out to him.
If it led to a river, it would be her best chance of being seen. She had one thing on her mind: getting out as soon as possible. Sadly, the planes never saw her. After a few days, they stopped searching altogether. Still, Juliane didn't give up hope. She managed to get by, one day at a time. But it wasn't easy.
Nights were the most difficult. It either rained ice cold or I was bitten to pieces by mosquitoes.
In an effort to stay warm and dry, Juliane used large leaves to cover herself and sought shelter under thick tree trunks or along slopes.
There were often times I wanted to give up, but I continued on regardless.
To avoid accidentally stepping on a snake barefoot, Juliane led with her one sandal. At least that way she had some protection. Or did she?
No matter what boots or snake chaps you have on, if you are in the wrong situation, you manage to piss that snake off and get bit, it's gonna bite above your waist anyways. So your foot is nothing.
And it wasn't just the animals she needed to worry about while navigating through the jungle.
Although you gotta really use your eyes and watch where you're walking. Aside from that, you're stepping on spiny palms.
Yep.
Everything that grows there has some sort of defense to keep things from hurting it, climbing on it, eating it, and it's usually in the form of spines or poison.
At one point, she considered catching a frog to eat. It was the rainy season, and she knew there were poisonous dart frogs everywhere. They could make her really sick, but not enough to kill her, like the golden poison dart frogs native to Colombia. Still, they were too fast for her to catch. And it's probably a good thing too. On day 4, she heard vultures and saw them circling overhead. In her childhood, her mother, who was an ornithologist, taught her all about the birds of the jungle, and she knew exactly what this meant. The birds led her to 3 passengers, still strapped into their seats, driven headfirst into the ground with such force that half of each body was buried in the dirt.
Damn.
At first, Juliane was afraid one of the victims was her mother.
And I turned one of the feet over and saw that the toenails were painted. And it then became clear to me that this could not possibly be my mother, because she never painted her toenails.
The Amazon is a death sentence for most people, but thankfully for Juliane, it was like a second home. Her parents were zoologists.
Alright, so what's your choice of food here? What would be your choice of food here? What am I what is it again? The spider or the frog, or would you eat the vulture? Would you try to catch the vulture? Comment below. I think I would try to catch that vulture, just because it's a bird. I would rather eat that, you know what I'm saying? But I don't know where I would get the fire from, but I would rather the vulture. It's the vulture, then the spider. But the frog would definitely be last, because I know how dangerous the frog is.
At 14, her family relocated to the Peruvian jungle to conduct research. She grew up alongside caimans, vampire bats, poisonous spiders, and venomous snakes. But here's where this story stops being a tragedy and starts being something else entirely. It never should have happened. In the years before Christmas Eve 1971, Lanza had already been responsible for 2 separate fatal crashes. And yet, the Peruvian government kept its operating license active. Locals had a saying. It translated roughly to, Lanza lands on its belly. Juliane's own father refused to let them book the flight. He knew the reputation, but with no other options available, they boarded anyway. 92 people. An airline with 2 fatal crashes on its record.
What did he say?
And a government that looked the other way. Lanza lands on its belly. Juliane's own father refused to let them book the flight. He knew the reputation, but with no other options available, they boarded anyway. 92 people. an airline with 2 fatal crashes on its record, and a government that looked the other way. That's not bad luck. That's a decision someone made. And 91 people paid.
See, ladies, sometimes it pays to listen to your man, especially when he a good one. I know you might think you know everything, but sometimes it might do you a little good. It might save your life. You know what I'm saying? Just listen to your man. You know what I'm saying? Just listen to your man. Nah, not like that, but you know what I mean. Like sometimes you really gotta listen to certain things that a guy is saying to you, especially if it's something that's like, if it's valuable information that can actually save your life like this. You know what I'm saying? So be open to that. Don't be too ignorant. You know what I'm saying?
For it. Now, before we go further, if this is the kind of story you're here for, make sure you're subscribed.
Still frustrated by the tedious process of creating short dramas? Log into Framia, enter your idea, and it'll
And hit the bell. On day 5 or 6, Juliane heard the sounds of birds yet again. But these weren't vultures. It was the call of the hoatzin, a chicken-like bird native to the Amazon which lives along bodies of water. She followed their calls and came across a large river. Although she had found water, the dangers that lurked beneath were also something she knew she had to be cautious of. So she entered.
Hey, I kind of take my choices back. My first choice, I wouldn't eat that. Well, I can't. It would be impossible to do that, right? Because I wouldn't know that I would come across this chicken. So I would have probably tried to catch the vulture and ate it. But if I didn't catch the vulture, I would have ate that chicken.
The river and started moving, but this was not a casual swim.
And in the water we have electric eels who are territorial and aggressive. We have piranhas, we have anacondas, we have caimans. The anacondas and caimans would definitely look at you as a meal if they were big enough.
I always carried a stick and poked the river bottom ahead of me because there are a lot of poisonous stingrays in the muddy shallows of the river. Stingrays are the really dangerous animals of the jungle, of these rivers. Much more dangerous than the poisonous snakes, jaguars, and tarantulas, which people generally fear.
And if you're wondering about piranhas, they're only dangerous in standing water, so they weren't really a concern for Juliane. At one point, she heard the cries of baby caimans. Then she saw the mother, rising from the bank, moving toward her. Rather than panic, she slowly slid back into the water and held still, showing she wasn't a threat. The caiman stopped. It worked. Now, these were likely spectacled caimans, a less dangerous variety.
Black caimans are the ones that can get 14 feet long, and they look at humans as food. The spectacled caimans will max out around 8 feet, and they're not going to really see a large human towering over as a prey item.
Still, Juliane's instinct to stay calm and back away slowly is likely what led her to avoid a serious confrontation with the mother caiman.
Yeah, because they might not look at her as food, but they damn sure ain't afraid of her. You feel me? So her backing away and, staying calm saved her life, gang. Yup, it probably saved her life right there. Most likely. Yo, this girl is smart as hell, yo. Shout out to her parents. They did a good job with her, son. They did a good job.
Each day, she continued to float down the river and would go to shore at sunset to rest. But sleeping was impossible due to the pain she started to feel from the insects feasting on her wounds.
I had a wound on the back of my left upper arm, where flies had deposited their eggs.
At risk of blood disease or losing her arm due to other forms of bacteria and parasites, Juliane knew she didn't have much time. And the second-degree sunburns she suffered while wading through the river all day added insult to injury. After several more days, she rested on a gravel bank. Things weren't looking good. And then she saw a boat. She thought she was hallucinating.
I slowly approached it and touched the boat, and it was real. At this moment I became wide awake, looked around. Where are the owners? There was no one there.
Juliane crawled up the riverbank on all fours. It took her hours. And then she saw a small hut. Although no one was inside, she was certain it was only a matter of time before someone returned. She remembered a
Yo, I'm telling you, she had a guardian angel with her. She had a guardian angel. It's like, how is she coming across these things? Like, exactly the things that she need. Exactly the things that she need, bro. Like, how crazy is that? Do you see how the universe works? Do you see? I believe the universe is God, man. Like, God is energy, bro. God is not human form, bro. He is the universe. He's everything, gang. I promise you, like, that's amazing. She got the boat. She got the hut. She didn't die from the Cayman. She didn't die from the plane crash. And she didn't die in the jungle. Oh my God, bro. He was there for her.
brick her father used on a wounded dog. She found gasoline from the boat's engine and poured it directly into her cut. One by one, the maggots surfaced.
In total, there were 50 maggots, each about 1 centimeter long in my arm. Amazing. I managed to pull out around 30 myself.
She grabbed a tarp, laid down on the sandy riverbank, and later wrote it was a better sleep than any 5-star hotel. By the morning, there was still no sign of anyone coming to the camp. Juliane came to terms with the fact that she may die here without anyone knowing what happened to her. And then, she heard voices. It was 3 forest workers, Beltran Paredes, Carlos Vasquez, and Nestor Amasifuen, who, by chance, decided to go back to their shelter.
That became my rescue. They told me later that they hadn't intended to go there at all. They just checked on their boat every 3 weeks.
Wow. Talk about lucky. They cleaned her wounds and removed the remaining maggots, fed her, and took her on an 11-hour boat ride back towards civilization. Juliane asked about the other survivors. The men went quiet. No living passengers had been found. She was the only one. This confirmed her worst fear. Her mother was gone.
Get exclusive Mortal Kombat 2 wallpapers for your PC.
As they reached civilization, local villagers were taken aback by her blonde hair and bloodshot eyes.
They mistook me for a water spirit. There is a legendary figure called Yakumama, the Water Mother.
But her journey alone had finally come to an end. She was then flown to a missionary hospital where she recovered for months. But she still needed closure about her mother. Juliane directed search teams to the crash site. On January 7th, 1972, they found the first pieces of wreckage. The next day, they uncovered more aircraft debris and 20 corpses. But the full story of what happened to the passengers of Lanza Flight 508 is darker than the crash itself. Forensic analysis of the bodies recovered from the jungle told investigators something devastating. Juliane wasn't the only person to survive the initial impact. Multiple passengers had survived the fall. They were alive,
But they
conscious,
died.
and waiting in the jungle. But they reached them too late. On January 12th, Juliane's mother was finally identified by her father, despite serious injuries to her face. He knew it was her by her distinct feet. Forensic investigators believed she, along with at least 11 others, survived the crash, only to die in the jungle over the following days.
Damn.
Years later, Juliane teamed up with filmmaker Werner Herzog to make Wings of Hope, a film she credited with helping her overcome her trauma. Believe it or not, Werner almost got on the same flight as Juliane while filming 1972's Aguirre, The Wrath of God, but a last-minute cancellation kept him back.
I was booked on this plane, that's why it's important for me. And by a chain of coincidences, I was taken off the passenger list.
Now, Juliane didn't run from the jungle after this.
How lucky he was.
She returned to it. She earned her doctorate in biology, became a mammalogist specializing in bats, and spent her career researching the Amazon rainforest. The place that should have killed her became her life's work. Survival isn't just about instinct. It's about preparation, knowledge, and as Anthony reminded us, the mental clarity to assess your situation before anything else. If you were in
Wow, that was an incredible story, y'all. I'm not gonna lie, that was an incredible story. Hold on. Yeah, she's an incredible person and she is a blessed person. Gangster, she's blessed because she's super blessed at that. Because how lucky you are that these people decided on this day, I'm gonna just go check my hut. I'm gonna go check my little cabin. You know? How lucky was that? If they didn't go there, she would have died. And I'm sorry what happened to her mom and the rest of the passengers, the ones that passed away, you know, and their family too. My condolences to their family. How do y'all feel about airplanes? Like, comment below how y'all feel about airplanes. Because I don't like them. I hate traveling in the air. I don't like traveling on anything that don't have wheels. I don't. But this was an incredible story. I'm glad she survived. And she's an incredible woman, incredible person. And I hope she just keep doing good and stay blessed. And I hope y'all do too. You know what I'm saying? And stay out of trouble, you heard? Have a good night wherever you at. Good day. I'm out of here.